Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's a beautiful day. I hope it's not too windy to where you can't hear me. But I decided to come on today and talk about how we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. All things are possible with God. And, I know people say that, but again, is it just talk? Do you really, truly believe deep down in your spirit, in your soul, that you can do all things with God? And I haven't always believed that. I've heard it and I've said it and I've repeated it. It's what I've been taught and what I learned in church and everything. It was instilled in me. But to actually believe wholeheartedly in it, to where I went forward in life with that mindset, not letting doubt or fear stop me from pursuing certain things. And especially when I think about, my life right now and the stage of life I'm in, just with, being in my 40s and versus when I was younger and things of that nature. I'm just now getting to the point where I do believe that I can do all things with God. And how I came to this, like I said, I've known it and heard the saying, since I grew up in church. So pretty much as far back as I can remember, very young, I knew about God and you can do all things with God. But it wasn't until here recently that I started to just really embrace it and walk through life 100% believing that and 100% knowing that it is true. It's just not, rhetoric that's thrown out there or something that sounds good to say. It's real. I can do all things. All things are possible with God. And the reason I know this is once I started intentionally having that thought and moving throughout my life, I saw all the possibilities unfolding, all the things that I pursued and went after. It started to happen. And I remember, I talked to my aunt and she was like, I've noticed a change in you. You just seem so more at peace, just happier. And I thought about that because she was right. I did used to go around and probably had a frown on my face, chip on my shoulder, mad at the world. But it was at a time where I was just under so much stress. I was in survival mode. I was constantly trying to figure out, how do I keep a roof over my head? How do I make money? How do I keep a job? How do I get ahead in life? How do I create a sense of stability in my life, a sense of security where I don't constantly feel like, the floor is going to be snatched out from beneath me. And I am at that place now. This is the most secure and stable I've been. But before I got to this point, I was in survival mode. And looking back on it now, I know that when I was in survival mode, I didn't have the mental capacity or the emotional bandwidth or just space to focus on anything outside of making sure my basic needs were met. So all of my time, energy, focus was on a roof over my head, food to eat, transportation, and just not making a mistake. Because at that time, any mistake I made, it was detrimental. It was pretty much, I make a mistake, I could lose everything. I didn't have a safety net. So any wrong move meant starting over from the very bare minimum. And I've had to start over at least 3 times from just ground zero. And so to finally get to this point where I, I like to say I have breathing room, like I'm just, I'm okay. I'm secure. I feel it. I know it. I don't feel like, something's going to happen and wipe everything away. I am very secure in everything I have going on right now. And it led me to start thinking about, like how my aunt said, she could see a difference in me. And there is a change, because now that I have my basic needs met and I'm not in that survival mode, I can thrive. I can, go after things. I do have the mindset to pursue goals and dreams. I can focus on things outside of, basic necessities. I have more room to just explore life on a different level. And that led me to think about, when I was younger, I would see women that were, I think at the time, probably in their late to mid 30s or early 40s, and they would be going to college, getting all these degrees, master's degrees, doctorates, and it was like they were really like doing big stuff. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder, why are they doing this, later in life? And that was just my young, immature teenage self thinking, why do they wait till they get like old to do this? Because at that time, that age was old to me. But then now at my age, I look back on it and I was like, I understand why. Because, I'm sure they had, life happens. Maybe they were in survival mode as well and finally got to the point in their life where they're like, okay, I can do this now. My mind is clear. I can focus. I can just put my time, energy, and effort into something other than surviving. And when you get to that place, if you've ever been in survival mode, you understand that every thought you have, everything is around just surviving. And to be free of that to where you can focus. And it's not that, people that come out of that didn't have it in them to do all these wonderful things. It's just that they didn't have the circumstances readily available for them to nourish that. Because not all of us come from circumstances or situations that allow us the space to not worry about where we're going to live, what we're going to eat, how are things going to get paid for. Do I have money for tuition? Can I pay for books? Can I raise these kids? Do I have a babysitter? That's a lot. That is a whole lot to take on. And so once you finally come up out of that, and it's like, wow, my mind is clear from that. Now I'm free to think about the possibilities. I'm free to be creative. I'm free to focus and learn and just grow in a way that was stunted because I was trying to survive. And so that brings me back to my aunt again, because at the time I remember, and I'm sure a lot of ladies think this way, when I turned 30, I felt like, dang, I'm old. I haven't accomplished anything. I was supposed to have this done by this date, and I was going to be doing this, and I hadn't done any of that stuff. Then when I turned 40, it was kind of like a little mini breakdown, because it's like, wow, I thought I was going to do this, and I was supposed to have it this way. But then that's when I started to realize about, all things are possible with God. All things. And God doesn't say some things are possible with me. He doesn't say if you do things in this order, it's going to be possible. If you do it on this time frame, it's possible. All things are possible in any order, on any timeline. And a lot of the anxiety that I have felt when I wasn't accomplishing things on a man's schedule, man-made timelines that are just irrelevant to me at this point. Because we live in a world where some of us, you gotta graduate from high school. Then once you graduate, go to college in 4 years, then go get a master's, do this and that. By 30, you're married with 3.5 kids or whatever. These are all man-made concepts. God doesn't place a timeline on when he blesses you. God doesn't say, well, if you don't do it this way, you're not going to be successful. God doesn't say if you don't have this degree by this age, you're just not going to be blessed and do anything. That's not true. And so once I got out of that, because I did feel like a failure because I didn't accomplish things on that man-made time schedule. And when I did that, I didn't just limit myself, I limited God. I was limiting the greatness of God because God didn't follow a man-made time schedule. Now, that sounds ridiculous when I say it, because now I know way better than that. I know that God can show up right now and bless me in a way that I would never even imagine. And because I've lived long enough and experienced it, I know that whatever thing comes to me is going to show up right on time when it's supposed to, in God's perfect timing, when he's ready, when I'm ready. And so if you're one of those people out there thinking that my life is not on schedule compared to, what this person is doing, especially with social media, we're looking at all these images of people living this great life. And they probably have a great life. But just because they're living that life now doesn't mean it's too late for you to live a great life. So don't compare yourself. Don't limit God and what he can do. Don't think that because it didn't happen when you thought it would happen is not going to ever happen. What God has for you is for you, and it's going to show up on time when you're prepared, when you're ready. And when it shows up, it's going to be better than anything you ever expected. So if you're feeling like, I'm old, I'm 30, 35, or some of you probably, I'm 26, I'm feeling old. It's not the case. Matter of fact, you want to feel good about yourself? Go find you some older people that are in their 80s and up. Find you some elders, get some wisdom. They will hype you up, make you feel good, make you feel like a baby. They will be like, no, you just a baby. If I could switch with you, girl, I'd be in my 40s living life. I'd be dating. No, you're not old. It's not too late. Age is just a number and all that good stuff. As long as you have God in your life, it's never too late. It's never just over. It's not over until God says it's over. And if he keeps waking you up every day and you're up, moving, doing whatever it is, you're moving forward, you're making progress, even if it's a tiny bit, God is not done. So if he's not done, you shouldn't be done either. So I just wanted to come on here and say this to you all. Have a great day and take care. Stay safe. Be blessed.